RBC, Dale Gateway 33 here to do another video. This is the next in my series of Lost in the Collection videos. This is for January 2023, where I show 10 records that I haven't spun for 5 years or more and reevaluate them. And as with the last two videos I've done the end of last year, the sort of theme around this is I'm having a bit of a purge. And so these records are candidates for a purge, and I've gone back and revisited them. They're on the cusp. Are they in or are they out? So I needed to give them another spin. So I'm using this as a vehicle for doing that. I'm going to make another video after this. I've been doing some thinking. I've been ill for the last month. I seem to be over it now. I had my second course of antibiotics and I've just finished those, and I seem to be a bit better, or better. So I don't know whether that's clouded my sanity and my judgment, but I'll save that for another video. So this is Lost in the Collection Purge number 3 edition. It's 10 records. So I'll show them in the order I played them. What's that doing in there? Okay, all right. Oh yeah, I did play it. So yeah, I actually played these quite quickly in January, and I've finished them a couple of weeks ago. So I am struggling. I've got my notes in front of me, so I will have to refer to my notes and what did I think. So first up, sorry, nearly 2 minutes and I haven't showed a record yet. So first up is this record, Leonard Skinner's Second Helping. So those of you who've watched my videos will know that I got into proper music through Pink Floyd in '79 when I heard my uncle's cassette of The Wall, and then got a friend at school taped his big brother taped most of the Floyd albums. So that was when I was 12 going on 13, but he also gave me, for some reason, a number of Leonard Skinner albums. So I was listening to Floyd and Skinner, not necessarily bedfellows that you would think of, but so I bought this when I got back into vinyl 12 years ago, or 10, 11, 12 years ago. This was one of the early ones that I bought off eBay, and I remember it being a bit crackly, and so it kind of clouded my enjoyment of it. So I haven't been back to it for a while, but I went back to it, and actually it plays fine. I don't know what I was thinking of, and I really enjoyed it. So so a strong kind of trip down memory lane, I think, for me. Plays fine, and the last 3 tracks, Swamp Music, The Needle and the Spoon, and Call Me the Breeze, really strong 3 tracks together towards the end of the album. So good overall album, and a keeper. Okay, this one's a bit of a cheat. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. What? Purge? Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here? Yeah, I've got several copies of this, and this was one I wanted to really grade, to put to list, to sell. So I used this as an excuse to. So it was in the collection, but not really in the collection. I'll be honest. And so I mean, need to know more introduction. What have I said? What have I said? Nothing to say. I've said ? More keyboards than I remember. I don't know what I meant. I've forgotten. A number 2/number 1. Oh, so this, it's always hovering about, is it my favourite Pink Floyd album or not my favourite Pink Floyd album? I made some notes and I can't even remember my notes. Apologies for that. Okay, next up, one of the worst covers in the world. So I may be keeping this because I like to show it in threads about show the worst cover in the world. This is shocking. So Barclay James Harvest, their first 3 or 4 albums had some really great cover art on them, and then they did this horrific album cover. But it's all right, and so it's got a bit of a reprieve. So and what I wasn't aware of, kind of doing a bit of reading about them and where this album stood while I was listening to it, is I didn't realise this came out on the Harvest label, that the Harvest label apparently was named because Barclay James Harvest were the first group to come out on the Harvest label, and that's how they came up with the name for the Harvest label. I don't know if that's true or not. I think this is on Polydor anyway. Yeah, so this is, you know, soft prog. It's enjoyable. I'm keeping it for now, but I need to go back to. I think I've got the first 5 Barclay James Harvest albums. I don't know that I need 5 Barclay James Harvest albums, but I need to listen to the other ones to decide which ones I'll keep and which one I'll get rid of, which is why it's kind of staying. Okay, next up is I think the debut album by Savoy Brown, sort of 60s blues rock, British blues rock band that I really like. But I went back to this because this is much more a sort of rocky versions of covers of blues, famous blues tracks. So I wasn't sure if this was as strong in the kind of British 60s blues rock boom as some of their later stuff. So what have I said? Yeah, so it starts, I say, fairly standard blues kind of rock, but it does improve, and overall some nice instrumentals, some nice playing, a good mix of ballads and rockers, and B5, yeah, Shake 'em on down, an arrangement of a traditional song is pretty good. So overall, actually, it's a keep for now, and probably similar. I've got about 5 Savoy Brown albums. I need to go sort of look at Savoy Brown and think, do I need them, or am I just kind of collecting them for collecting them? Okay, next up is Jethro Tull, Passion Play. So this is the Stephen Wilson mastered reissue from 2014. I bought it when it came out, and I remember not particularly enjoying it. It was more proggy Jethro Tull than perhaps I quite like the folky Jethro Tull. And yeah, I've gone back to it, and that is what I still feel. Yeah, it's a bit too proggy for me, a bit too clever by its, you know, for its own good, in my opinion, and not the type of Jethro Tull that I really like. I probably like either their kind of earlier bluesy stuff, or some of their kind of bit more folkier stuff. So this is going. Okay, let me just turn the page. Bear with. Okay, next up, this has been sitting in the inbox for 18 months as part of a sort of small batch of records I bought off somebody, and I've been meaning to play it. I've had it. So this is a reissue of an album. So this is Stiff Little Fingers, Inflammable Material. So it's got barcode on it. It's even got digitally remastered. So this is a kind of 80 something 89 reissue of the 79 album, digitally remastered. So in 1989 it was probably good to say digitally remastered on an album. Now it would be a heinous crime, and you have to say all analog. But yeah, it sounds really good. And so I had an original of this. It was a bit beat up and I got rid of it. But I played this and absolutely loved it. It's really melodic punk, if you like, if that makes any sense. And yeah, really strong album. And yeah, I mean, it's political, obviously, but yeah, I really enjoyed this. And yeah, you know, particularly, you know, even the second, yeah, it's got Alternative Ulster, which is and Suspect Device, which are kind of big sort of songs. But yeah, really enjoyed this. Great album. Probably should have kept my original, even though it was a bit crackly and a bit beat up. Right, next up is this, The Heavy, The Glorious Dead. So this is I don't know, this is a British band from, I think they're from Bristol, but I want to say Bristol, but I don't know, I might be wrong. And it's funky rock, blues, swampy. It's kind of, you know, the Black Keys from the UK a bit more maybe funky than rocky, and some great kind of, yeah, say cool soul ballads, and yeah, it was a really enjoyable listen. And it comes, this version was sort of deluxe version. It's two double album. One is the original album, and one is instrumentals of all of the tracks. And yeah, I played the album, I enjoyed the album. I played a couple of the instrumentals, and I wasn't sure that they're absolutely necessary, but the album's is a pretty good album, so I'm kind of on the fence on this one at the moment. It's quite thick though, it takes up quite a bit of space, so you know, you never know. Okay, next up is C. Duncan and the Midnight Sun. So this is a follow-up to the album Architect. Came out in 2016, and I bought this because I really enjoyed the album The Architect, and this was, I guess, a bit more of the same, but a little bit more, I don't know, dreary and a bit pedestrian. So I went back to it, and yeah, I didn't really change my mind on it. So what have I said? It's dreamy, lush indie pop, but not as strong as the debut, and a bit dull. So yeah, so that's what I thought of that. Not to put you off, but the debut Architect is pretty good. But so this is very much more of the same. Nice artwork, and the debut Architect's got fantastic artwork. In fact, the artwork probably drew me in as much as the music on the debut. Okay, two more to go. Opeth next. So I do like Opeth. I've liked them for years and years. This is later Opeth, 2016 again. I bought this on release, pre-ordered it, and you know, so this is later Opeth. They've gone a bit more proggy, less kind of death metal, less hard rock, and yeah, I like this, and it's kind of, I guess, it's got quite a lot of acoustic folky touches to it. So I think, you know, the purists who have been with Opeth from the beginning, I don't think like this, but I came in sort of midway through, and I've got several Opeth albums, but yeah, I actually quite like this. So what I said, it's a mix of proggy, folky, quite Jethro Tully in places, but the right sort of Jethro Tull, and some heavy stuff mixed in with some sort of Eastern sounding. So not groundbreaking, but enjoyable album. Sorceress it's called, by Opeth. And then finally is this album, an original Highway by Free on the Island label. I think this is 1970, is it? I think. So solid. It's a solid Free album with a kind of good sort of younger Paul Rodgers voice. It might be 69 or 70, I can't remember. Let me check. 70. Yeah, a younger, it's on the Island, Pink Island label. Yeah, so enjoyable, younger mix of ballads and rockers, solid. But yeah, jury's still out on whether it's essential. So that's the 10 in this month's Lost in the Collection. So probably it's a sort of a bit of a draw, as many keepers as leavers in the collection. And I'll be back. So as I say, I've had an epiphany of sorts, and I'll be back with a separate video to explain that next. Okay, cheers, VC, bye.